Oh, yes. Look what our crew did. Don't sleep on him is the name of this segment. And the point is, there are players that Rupper's going to highlight in each of the different divisions, starting with the Atlantic. These are guys that could be bursting back onto the scene and on everybody's mind. Starting in the Atlantic Division, where are you going?
And it's not to sleep on him.
Don't sleep on him.
If you're sleeping on this guy, you need that alarm clock right next to your ear right now. Because Andrei Vasilevsky's my guy in the Atlantic.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm going with him is he didn't look like Andrei Vasilevsky last year. But let's not forget all the hockey they played. He came out.
Fatigue.
Yes, he came out and he admitted and he said that his game wasn't where it should be. You know who else said that on this team? Victor Hedman, but we'll leave that one alone. My point being, those are two great players that I think will right the ship here down in Tampa. But Andrei Vasilevsky, the big cat, don't sleep on him because you may have had some catching up from other goaltenders in the league this past year to what we think is the best goalie in the world. That conversation might be a conversation. It might not be after this next year. Okay. I think he's going to bounce back in a huge way because he's rested physically, and most importantly, I think Andrei Vasilevsky's rested mentally, so I expect a huge season from him down in Tampa.
He doesn't have to look far to see one of his teammates who had a massive year last year, Braden Point, the way that he came back from the hip surgeries and scored 50 goals, 95 points, dazzling. Next is the Metro. From that division, who should fans not sleep on?
Here's one for me, Phil Pedal.
Okay.
Philip Hedl is one that I love his progression. I love he got hot last year for the Rangers, and it was look out. It seemed like he was scoring every night, and his legs feed everything in his game. And when he's moving, he's darting around the ice, he's generating speed in the neutral zone. He creates an absolute ton, and I wouldn't be surprised. And I actually think it'll be the best thing for this Rangers team. His game continues to evolve, and he becomes a top 6 center. He'll be one of the top 2 centers, and that slots this team appropriately, where I think Vinny Trocheck will be most dangerous as a sleeper guy somewhere else in the lineup as maybe a third-line center. So Phil Pedal had a career season last year. I think he takes another career season in this season for the Rangers and takes some big steps.
That's dazzling because we see, as you point out, a career year, all that yellow, from 22 points to 45 in just a minute and a half more of ice time. If you were to have to throw out a number, just a guess, because he doubled his point total from the previous year, he couldn't do that again, could he? 90?
I don't know if he can double it, but I mean, it's certainly he's going to make some strides. I think that he's going to get up to 60. I think he'll get north of 60 points, and that's huge.
That's a huge.
And that's huge for his development. He's still young. Seems like he's been around on Broadway for quite some time. He has been, but he's still a very young player, I believe, in this league. So him taking that next step, that could be enough to push his team over the top.
24 years young to start the season, and I know Rangers fans don't want any parallels to the team across the Hudson River. But Jack Hughes, the kind of leap he had in production, he'd been good before, but this past season.
Hey, and who said Jack was going to tickle 100 points last year?
You did.
This guy did right here.
Yes.
So Phil Pedal, I'm not saying tickling 100, but he's going to take a huge step.
99, set a new Devils record. Patrick Elias had the previous record from the 2001 season. The next division for us, the Central, Rupper. Who should fans not sleep on?
I'm going to take this a different way and not go an individual player. I'm going to go with a team.
Okay.
Don't sleep on the Arizona Coyotes.
Oh, yeah.
This team's got some gumption, man.
Mullet Arena.
The way they played last year, and I'm not trying to say they're going to be a playoff team this year, but if you think that's going to be easy out, you're going to get dominated because they play hard. And I love their offseason moves. Clayton Keller took a huge step.
Yes. He
became a bona fide superstar after, and we know he was a finalist for the Masterton, had that broken leg, comes back, and had a huge season. Was he pushing? Was he around 90 points, I think it was. And so they go out and they get Jason Zucker on a 1-year deal. They get Matt Dumba on a 1-year deal. I played with both those guys. Those guys are going to do nothing but help a hockey club, right? So they're going to go and they're going to be even harder to play against adding those two. So the Coyotes are going to be a fun team to watch, and Mullet Arena is still going to continue to be a very difficult place to get a win. Mullet
magic. We know about it. We love it. And the fact that that club, Matt Dumba, when we had him on the show, was talking about being excited about going into that atmosphere and playing in it. How much do fans influence the energy level and the go that we see from teams? It sure seems to have an impact, maybe not so much on the visiting team, they're pros, but on the home team, they draw energy from.
Yeah, it's about energy, and it's such a key component in an NHL season being 82 games, because some nights, a lot of nights, you are going to have no problem finding energy. You're either just going to feel great, it's going to be the beginning of the season, a vibrant part of the year, maybe it's the matchup who you're playing against. But there's going to be plenty of nights in the NHL season where you've got to manufacture energy, and when you're playing in a place that maybe other teams, even that you're used to playing in, and you can get the energy from the crowd and the home ice energy, but the other team coming in may not be able to find it as easy, right? Now you've got an advantage. I find it, that's what I always talk about, be good on home ice, be dominant on home ice, and go 500 on the road. That's a good hockey club,
yes,
if you could do that.
That's the formula.
So, they're still going to work on their road record, I think, out there in Arizona, but they're going to play the game hard.
Keller had that masterful year that put him up for the Masterton. I want to go back to you on this. The fact that he established himself as an elite point producer, not just the end result, but the confidence that builds in him, because frankly, they did not have the greatest season as a team. Now that there's more talent around him and there's a real sense of purpose, couldn't he have another huge year in a row?
I think so. I mean, I think this is what we saw. That's what he is. Like, he's going to be a player that's going to be north of 80 points, I think, every year in his career. So we knew he had this extreme skill level, right? He was undersized in regards of, he's not a heavy player, he's not big and strong. So it's about navigating what you can get away with in the NHL. I think he's starting to feel pretty confident in that regard. But I also think the adversity that he dealt with last year, right? I mean, that's what I learned. All of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, this guy's a gamer.
Yes,
right? Like, he went through something that you could have handled it in a positive way and still not gotten results, but he spun it into an extreme positive, right? Like, we were talking to Bill Armstrong saying that I was going in there, and this is way before he's going to be ready to play, and he's first guy at the rink, last guy to leave. All those cliches you always hear, he was checking those boxes. So Clayton Keller, I think he is a star right now, and he'll continue to be in this league.
The only guy to produce as many points in a single season during the desert era, Big Walt. Keith Tkachuk, that's dazzling. Let's take it out west to the Pacific, a player or team that fans shouldn't sleep on.
Oh, man. Where are we going to go out in the Pacific? I'm going to go with one guy who I think very highly of, had a really bad season last year. Jonathan Huberdeau.
Okay.
Out in Calgary.
Yep.
So there was it was a big change. There's a lot of emotions going, I'm sure, through Jonathan Huberdeau off the career year he had, setting a Florida Panthers record. And then that trade happens, right? And then not only the trade, Tone, because this is the human nature of the sport too. Not just the trade. He'll never probably admit this, and nor should he. Jonathan Huberdeau is going to be focused on himself and being prepared. But when you're seeing the success of the guy that you got traded for and the way that it happened, you don't think that motivates him?
Sure.
This is a player that's put on extreme amount of muscle, and I remember seeing the progression over him over the last few years. Like, he's got big upper body now. Like, he's putting in the work.
Yeah.
He's learning how to play in traffic. He's not a perfect hockey player. There's not many of them. Sidney Crosby is an all-around guy.
He is.
After that, there's not many, right? But I think he's learning that. We know he's offensively gifted, and now with the new coaching change, maybe this is going to be something that's going to free it up for him. I'm expecting him to bounce back. I don't know if he'll get north of 100 this year, but he's certainly not going to get the around 60 that he had this past season, right? Like, he's going to be somewhere pushing 100 points, I think, in Calgary, because he's just far too good. And I think he's going to make a big adjustment, so don't sleep on Jonathan Huberdeau.
Don't sleep on him, and he's an easy guy to root for, too. He's been here before, and talking with him, he's a guy that right away you realize is so likable. At the start of the segment, Rupper, we saw you, and you didn't look as, well, sharp as you usually do. What is this picture? What is this from? Rangers?
This is Rangers. This is Rangers, and I could tell by it because that's my I'm about to get punched in the face
Oh, no.
gesture I'm making. Yeah. So this must have been where that's from. Yeah. I know it looks very real, like this was actually me sleeping and this morning.
Neatly manicured.
And sleeping in your helmet is very comfortable, especially those Eastons. But yeah, no, I remember this picture. It's I don't remember the actual what it came from, but I remember seeing this out there with it was a fight, and I think I'm probably getting hit or something. I'm wincing.
If you close your eyes during a fight, what happens?
It's probably not a great idea.
I'm wondering.
But I don't know. Sometimes you just get in that moment and you're like, oh, it's coming. It's going to get me. But anyways, don't sleep on those guys. And I wasn't sleeping after that, even though my head was sideways.